My name is Trisha Kwan. I am a senior at Stockton University. Recently, I had the opportunity to cover a PR crisis, and I chose the brand Victoria's Secret. A little bit about Victoria's Secret is that it was founded by Roy Raymond, and his intention was that he wanted to make it comfortable for both men and women to shop comfortably for their undergarments. He wanted to buy his wife some lingerie as a present, but didn't want to appear suspicious, so he started his own brand. Today, Victoria's Secret is a multi-billion-dollar popular lingerie brand and has expanded internationally and increased their lines to include cosmetics, activewear, loungewear, as well as extensive lines of lingerie. They have been one of the most popular and viewed annual fashion shows. It's been filmed in one of the biggest fashion capitals of the world and continues to do so. So a little bit about the PR nightmare. In an interview with the Chief Marketing Officer, Ed Razek, he revealed that the company had no interest in casting transgender and plus-size models in their fashion shows. He went on to defend his brand point of view by arguing that the company did attempt to at one point, but decided against it because their goal was to market towards a demographic that would sell. To further defend his argument, he claimed that they tried to do a televised special for plus-size model in 2000, but no one had an interest and still doesn't. So with the apology that was executed, he had been avoiding social media for a few months now to avoid the toxicity of the comments and the backlash. In order to contain the situation and rectify what was said, the company issued an apology from Razek on Twitter. And as you can see below right here, it is the tweet that was sent out on Victoria's Secret's official account. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about the theories, the consequential versus non-consequential approaches. And the first is the consequentialist theories, or also known as teleological theories. Some subsects to teleological theories are egoism and utilitarianism. In egoism, we act morally only if our actions promote our own long-term interest. We increase the action that makes us happy while reducing actions or decisions that produces pain. The problem with egoism is that it's a very selfish theory. What is pleasurable or what makes one person happy may not do the same for another, and on the contrary, it may lead to another party's pain. With utilitarianism, it was first developed by two English philosophers, Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill. They argued that something was moral if it produced the greatest good for the largest number of people. A decision's morality would be weighed by the overall pleasure and pain for the majority. And it's a very pragmatic theory that was developed as a way of adding and subtracting in comparison to pleasure and pain. One of the issues with this theory is that good and bad actions are entirely subjective. And the primary problem is that it uses the ends to justify a means. And going on to the non-consequential theories, deontological theories were first developed by German philosopher Immanuel Kant. He started the first school of ethics to give the power of decision-making to individuals. Kant believed that doing something ethical is because of moral duty and not because of self-interest or self-gain. He argued that the consequences were not what makes them morally right or wrong, but the motives themselves. Morality should be determined by whether an individual's actions to conform to certain unyielding principles or the universal norms of obligation. Something that branches from deontological theories is the categorical imperatives. With categorical imperatives, categorical means that an action must always apply and at all places, while imperative means that the action must be obeyed by all rational people. There are two versions to this, the categorical imperatives. The first stating that an action must be acceptable to all human beings. which brings on the quote, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." The second stating that you should treat people as an ends in themselves and never use them as a means to an end. We should not use people as things to satisfy our desires. Show dignity and respect, which is the law of justice. And with the law of autonomy, a moral agent is an agent who can act autonomously as laws unto himself or herself on the basis of objective maxims of his or her reason alone. So, how do we apply these theories to the Victoria's Secret's PR crisis? For Victoria's Secret, Razek's actions proved to be a typical case of speaking before thinking. His actions and words from the interview may have cited his beliefs and even the company's beliefs, but it detrimentally affected the brand's image. This example of egoism and attempting to maintain a certain image ended up enraging and hurting the plus-size and transsexual demographics. An example of utilitarianism from this case is the fact that Razek put the organization and company's interests before the public's. Although the majority of the brand's consumers are women, he had also excluded women who were plus-sized or transgender in this case. What Razek should have done as an example of deontology is include all women and transgenders in the fashion shows. Instead of making the fashion show seem exclusive, he should have made it feel more inclusive and welcoming. Even if the consequences or outcome may not be as what is expected or what is desired, the motive behind it was at least compromising for both parties in this case. And what I would have done. So in this case, I would have made it very clear that the company does have interest in having plus-size or transsexual models in their shows, explaining that the screening process and how it is and how, what models have to go through, and explain that it's a very difficult process, but still it is open to both plus-size and transsexual models. There definitely needed to be more than just a simple Twitter apology post. Razek should have immediately gone to another interview stating his apology with sincerity and informing the public of what Victoria plans to do in the future for these models. Even if there aren't any current plans, he should at least try to state what the brand's hopes for this demographic is in the future. The lack of sincerity and genuineness made his original apology seem uncaring and cold. Not only should the apology have been on the company's official account, but it should have also been on his as well. These would have been my first steps in trying to rectify the situation. Sincere apologies with real meaning and more information is the best thing that he could have done. Although his words can never be taken back, these are steps that he and the company should take to reform the brand's ideology. And in conclusion, think before you speak. Razek was an executive. He was the chief marketing officer of all people. Victoria's Secret is currently the most popular lingerie brand in the market, but he also had a responsibility to include women of all sizes and shapes and act and speak morally. The original idea for the company in itself was to make it comfortable for both men and women to shop without feeling insecure or frowned upon. By excluding these two groups, it's not only limiting the company, but supporting immoral and unethical decisions. The company needs to adopt a more deontological ideology in which women should feel welcome in their stores as well as men. Men should feel comfortable either shopping for their significant others or even themselves. Keeping in mind that the brand's original goal was to make it comfortable for everyone. So in conclusion, think before you speak and have a good day.